CR7, R9, Cruyff wearing 14, Messi's famous number 10. Kit numbers are a fully accepted part of modern football. Whether it's a player choosing a number that means something to them, their favourite number, their first squad number, or just clubs allocating their best players to maximise shirt sales. Despite this, there was a time in the history of the beautiful game when this was not the case. The 1933 FA Cup final was the first in the competition's history that each team wore kit numbers, much to the amusement of the watching fans and media. The idea of kit numbers in Britain had first been supported by legendary manager Herbert Chapman. Chapman was an innovator who constantly sought to improve his teams. After 2 league titles with Huddersfield Town in the early 1920s, he joined Arsenal in 1925, planning to take the London club to great heights. Chapman introduced the white sleeves to Arsenal kits that the club still use today. He believed that players saw white in the peripheral vision more than any other colour. He also introduced tactical meetings before matches to analyse opponents, and he was a keen media man who wanted to embrace the developing technology of the radio. His proposition of kit numbers, however, was too much for the authorities, and it was blocked by the instinctively conservative FA. Chapman's side had been the first to trial numbers in August 1928. Playing away against Sheffield Wednesday, the Wednesday side would wear 1 to 11, with Arsenal wearing 12 to 22. The same day in Division 2, Chelsea would also trial squad numbers 2 to 11 at home to Swansea Town, with the goalkeeper remaining blank. Following further trials, including at international level, it was decided that for the 1933 FA Cup final, shirt numbers would be exhibited again. The Derby Daily Telegraph built up for the game and warned readers of the approach of the most novel cup final in the history of football. This was for a number of reasons. Firstly, foreign soccer enthusiasts would be present, partly in the form of the West Indian cricket team, and partly due to the continuing growth of the English game to continental Europe. Secondly, due to the kit clash between the participants, Everton and Manchester City, it was decided that neither team would wear their usual blue jersey. Everton would instead play in white, with Manchester City donning scarlet for the final. Considered even stranger than this, though, was the fact that each player would have a huge distinguishing number on his back. Like 1928, the numbers would be separated by team, Everton wearing 1 to 11, with Man City wearing 12 to 22. On the 29th of April 1933, Everton would decimate Manchester City in the FA Cup final. Winger Jimmy Dean opened the scoring in the 41st minute. The prolific Dixie Dean made it 2 just after half-time. Jimmy Dunn would then wrap up the 3-0 victory in the 80th minute, as Everton would lift a second FA Cup. But the significance of seeing kit numbers was not lost on journalists. Steen wearing 11, Dean wearing 9, and Dunn wearing the number 8 would be clearly heard over the radio as commentators could easily identify players. Fans in the stadium too were not having to guess which player had the ball. The newspaper The Northern Whig remarked that this FA Cup final will go down in history, with the much welcomed innovation of kit numbers. This particularly appreciated by the spectators in the back rows of the stands and out on the terraces. The Liverpool Echo, also in favour of the development, wanted to further simplify things, with both sides wearing 1 to 11, beginning with the goalkeeper and finishing with the left winger. They noted how it would be much easier to spot your man and his position from a glance at your programme. Another meeting of the Football League and the FA would reject the idea once more, and kit numbers were not formally implemented. The FA Cup final had first been broadcast on Radio Live in 1927, as Cardiff City beat Arsenal 1-0 at Wembley. Perhaps it was meant to be that it was media-savvy Arsenal manager Herbert Chapman who would be involved in the first live radio broadcast of the final. He saw football as a media event and agreed with BBC Director General Lord Reith about the importance of broadcasting matches of national significance. To convince fans of the Christian values of broadcasting, the hymn "Abide With Me" was sung, a tradition that remains at the FA Cup final today. Radio broadcasting grew rapidly in popularity. with the number of UK radio licences sold rising from 2 million in 1926 to 8 million by 1939. Radio alone was not enough to get kit numbers introduced throughout the British game. It would be the growth of television that finally saw kit numbers needed. The first BBC television broadcast of a football match was in 1937, and the 1938 FA Cup final between Preston North End and Huddersfield Town followed it. With most sets small and grainy, viewers needed help to distinguish the players. By June 1939, the Football League would again vote on squad numbers for the 1939-1940 campaign. The vote would pass by 24 votes to 20. Kit numbers were to be used for the new season, although of course this season was cut short by the Second World War, which began in September 1939. The move, however, was labelled as a progressive step by the Grimsby Daily Telegraph, with the FA insisting that they would have to be numbers 1 to 11 for both sides, giving the media their wish. In 1933, the goalkeeper had taken the number 1 jersey, the right back 2, the left back 3, the right half wore 4, the centre half 5, and the left half 6, with the outside right wearing 7, the inside right wearing 8, the centre forward 9, the inside left 10, and the outside left 11. By this decision in 1939, though, Herbert Chapman's WM formation had taken over the English game and saw formations differ slightly. This meant that the right back and the left back retained 2 and 3, with the centre half in the middle with number 5. However, the right half and the left half had pushed further forward, meaning 4 and 6 became regular midfield numbers. Up front, the inside right and the inside left had dropped back slightly, meaning number 8 and number 10 became playmaker midfield roles. The outside right and the outside left stayed wide, wearing their number 7 and 11. They developed into the wingers that we have today. The centre forward, meanwhile, remained through the middle, wearing the number 9 jersey. As teams grew, there would be adaptations to the numbering of players, with the 1954 World Cup squads containing 22 players. All members would be allocated an individual number for the tournament. 12 to 22 were irrespective of position. In 1958, it was a stroke of luck that would see 17-year-old Pelé wearing the number 10 jersey for Brazil. The Brazilian FA forgot to submit kit numbers in time for the competition, and FIFA randomly selected numbers 1 to 22. Pelé would take number 10 for the national team. He would net 6 times on the way to lifting the Jules Rimet trophy, and never gave up that number 10 that he became so synonymous with. As Daniel Gray writes, over the years, a player's shirt number became the equivalent of wearing a job title on their back. It's like they'd been branded by a hot poker into the role that number gave them. A playmaker would be seen as a perfect number 10, whilst a goal-scoring number 9 was what all sides dream of, and a tricky or explosive winger would wear the number 11 or 7 shirt. Kit numbers are now how players are recognised throughout the world, children dreaming of wearing their hero's number on their back when they grow up. This all began at the most novel cup final in history, right back in 1933. Although those original kit number wearers back in the 1930s would never have been able to foresee the future crimes of the likes of centre-back William Gallas wearing the number 10 for Arsenal, striker Milan Baros wearing number 5 for Liverpool, or midfielder player-manager Edgar Davids turning up inexcusably as a number 1 for Barnet. We hope you've enjoyed another one of our audio blogs. If you have, then please check out our book, Football's 50 Most Important Moments, on the link below.